All right, so thank you again for joining the Global Drone virtual discussion. This will be the second session, and I would like to invite Chitranj from India to speak as part of the panel. We also have again Dr. Alexei. I'm sure you have a lot more to share, as well as let's see who else is here already. Mr. P.S. Tang again, yeah. So this time we're going to focus on our topic, which is drones in infrastructure and transportation. So this is a very interesting topic actually. It covers a few things besides transportation. It goes into logistics, it goes into deliveries and all that. So let's start with maybe Dr. Alexei. Would you like to begin?
Maybe you will start it.
You want me to
Yeah.
start? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, no, let's go with Mr. Chitranj from India because this is his forte. So, Mr. Chitranj, you didn't manage to, I think, really properly introduce yourself earlier. So maybe this time you can do that.
Yeah, sure. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Chitranj. I'm a mechatronics engineer, and I've been in the drone industry from last 6-7 years. And my field of expertise is basically customized drones. So, talking about drones in the application and the field which I'm currently working on, so that you guys have an idea of what exactly that we do. I would like to let you guys know that we are into customized drones, and our foremost and most specialized application right now currently is drones in the irrigation and farm. So we're working on something called smart farming and irrigation in India, in South India to be exact, where we have all these tall coconut trees, just as we have all the palm trees over there in Malaysia.
Yes.
So we focus on irrigation, sterilization, fertilization, and spray of insecticides for and all the other materials that we need. Apart from that, what we intend to do in the next few months is to provide all the drone industries which are out there who are using ready-made drones, for their application, and who are using the drones which are already developed, and they are modifying that, for what they want to use. We want to provide them with a customizable platform which is open for all. So it's an open platform for everyone to assess their requirements and be able to develop whatever they want to do with having little to no expert knowledge on the platform. So that is something which we're trying to do currently. That is why we were there in the GDC conference last year as well. Had a great time there. Thank you, Hanis, for connecting with me. And let's hope I can be of any service to everyone over here.
Okay. All right. So that's what you've been doing. What is the uptake for now in terms of businesses using this kind of service that you're providing?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question once again?
What's the response been so far in terms of
All right.
yeah.
So the response so far, I mean, see, we talking, on a a very humanitarian level. India being the vast country it is, with the sheer population we have, the labor here is very cheap, right? So the only tough part we come across whenever we provide any service is that the initial cost for the service in comparison to the labor which is already there might be a little on the higher side. But then again, when we assess all the risks that are involved in humans doing certain jobs which might even become fatal at some point,
Yes.
drones do come out as the major solution, which are not only safe but also those are the way to go for the upcoming future. For now, I mean, till now, with the market which we have been working in, the coconut and the areca nut farms of Karnataka, we actually, I mean, have witnessed quite a few injuries of people. People used to, climb all over the all these trees, spray and come back down. And they did incur certain injuries, and in doing so, and the rate at which they used to work used to be very less. So I mean, with whatever we could provide, the rate has been doubled for the output. And and the risk factor involved has definitely gone down. But then again, there is still there are pros and cons for both. We have felt kind embrace from the technology and all the people who have been asking us for the service. But then again, there are certain issues in training them, or technically. So generally we have to send someone from our own side to do all this technical job. I mean, yes, they would like to use the technology, but for them to get involved technically is a little tough. So that is a challenge that we are currently facing, getting the common people or the people who are not so technically advanced onto the platform, so that even they have an ease of applicability of whatever service is being provided.
So basically, people are ready to use the service, but not maybe to as their own. That means they don't buy the drone themselves and they don't operate it themselves. They'd rather outsource it to a third party like yourself.
Yes, they want the job done at the end of the day. That is all they're concerned about. So I mean, for the growing startups like us, it's good. But then again, looking at the bigger picture, we want drone industry to grow, and I think for that we need the people, for everyone, at least the majority of the people who are out there who even use a phone or a laptop. I think we need to make drones so accessible that even as a hobbyist, they do not have to put in a lot of effort. We are aiming to provide a platform which could make it easy for them. So yes, they are ready to outsource this from us, but then again, they're not very interested in learning the technology or embracing the technology themselves.
Okay, understood. Would you like to share anything about this, about infrastructure in specific and transportation, Mr. Piestang?
Yes, I think we can share on what is going on in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
I think for logistics, there are already some trial that happen in the university for delivery. Yeah? So instead of delivering from a single source to all the location, they try to do logistics through what we call a flight or delivery corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you will have building A, B, C, D, whatever along the corridor. There are main logistic hub where the drone will fly from one hub to another and dropping and picking up a parcel, and the parcel or a pallet can consist of multiple deliveries that people can come and collect from the logistic hub. I think this project was started by Airbus. Yeah, Airbus Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Then is basically using their larger logistic drone that can have a payload of 10 to 20 kilogram.
Mm-hmm.
But they are doing delivery, as I said, through a logistic corridor, delivering into point A, B, C, D as a logistic hub. So there's one trial that have been completed, and now there are other players talking about defining where all these flight corridors are, where the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore have to define these are the lower risk flight corridor.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't fly over too many expressway, highway, or don't fly over a very crowded area. So we try to fly according to the building top to have a lower risk flight path for this bigger logistic drone to fly on a BVLOS logistic manner. So that would be one type of infrastructure where rooftop landing point for the drones are being developed for a lot of all these potential application. Okay. Number two, we are also talking about maritime logistics. They are trying out now how to do shore to ship delivery and also to pick up from ship back to shore. I think in Singapore, as one of the busy port of the world, on every day we have probably 300 to 400 ships. And these are tankers. These are big ships that basically anchored in Singapore water to wait for their turn to come into the port, for either collecting new goods or actually delivering the goods to the port. So there are quite a lot of logistics that need to happen, either not just document, but spare parts, some daily requirement.
Vitamins as well.
Medicals, blood, like you say, sometimes all this emergency thing. They are trying to do now shore-to-ship delivery and vice versa using drones, because putting it on a ship and the manpower involved, actually the cost could be quite high. And every day they are talking about potentially hundreds of delivery, in terms of shore-to-ship logistics. So I think that is a big drive in terms of logistics in Singapore, is to how to make our port even more efficient, where the boat at their anchorage area can start having all these logistic services before they actually come and berth at our port, which are limited because they have to wait for their time and their schedule. So those will be the two big ones that we want to share with the GDC, so that we want to look for any other good platform use case that can make use of these platforms that we will have in Singapore, and whether we can reference and replicate this platform in other countries and to expand it into other logistic applications.
Yes, I understand that there's this drone company, F Drones. They are working on a payload of 100 kg now.
They have done a BB-loss trial, shore to ship delivery. I believe their payload is up to 10 kg. I think 200 kg is on the development roadmap.
Yes.
In terms of trying to get that implemented with much bigger drones, shore to ship. And so that our Singapore is an island, so our territory water normally is only around 10-15 kilometers away from our shoreline. So our shipping channels and where all the ships are anchored in the Singapore waters are all within that 10 to 15 kilometers away from shore. So that's good enough in terms of coverage and a flight zone that you need to operate. And of course, they want all this to be done on. It has to be BB-loss, because it's you can't operate the drone from shore. That is, and the ship is 10 kilometers out. And they also realize using the standard commercial drone Wi-Fi frequency channel has a problem. So that every ship that anchor in Singapore water, every ship has their own Wi-Fi.
I see.
So when you drone fly across the ship, sometimes you get interference. So like the DJI, they claim using Wi-Fi band they can get to 3, even 6 kilometers. That's assuming no interference. So they are all very cautious about if you have to deliver this logistic to work and fly across ships that has Wi-Fi on board, then you might. So that's why we are actually exploring. We haven't actually done anything with F-Drone. We are exploring to also put in private LTE and in the future private 5G to ensure you have a total isolated communication link between your drone, which is an expensive robotics, and the payload sometimes can be very high value payload. So you don't want to lose any of that when you're delivering it from shore to ship and vice versa.
Okay. What about, I understand that Skyports is already set up in Singapore. How is that going?
As far as we know, after the trial and POC, I don't think it has gone commercial. And I think with the current COVID-19 impact on the aviation industry, what I heard, I can't confirm, what I heard is Airbus has to cease their operation in Singapore. So Airbus is potentially one of the victims of the COVID-19 on the aviation industry.
Right. Okay. That's unfortunate because that was something people were really excited about. And to see that Singapore is so close to us in Malaysia, it was something like we wanted to see how it's working out for you, so that we can also learn what the best practices are. And you've already mentioned that you're already setting up the tops of buildings for the launch pads and things like that. So it's about preparedness, and that's something that we really can learn from. What about India, Chitransh? What's your take? Is the infrastructure ready for deliveries in the city? I think you're muted. Hold on, let me just unmute you.
Is it better now?
Yes.
All right. So I think the infrastructure in India also needs quite a lot of work. I mean, DGCI and are doing quite a good job. We are modifying our rules, our aviation rules and regulations, and we are, allowing a little more, ease and flexibility to the startups who are in the industry. But then again, I think a lot needs to be done, along with the mentality and the, infrastructure. Um, as you said, I mean, as there it is in Malaysia. I mean, and Singapore, I think it will take another 1.5 to 2 years at least, for us to be completely deliverable, or in this in the aspect of drone industry, even at the metropolitan cities.
Mhm.
So let's see how much time it takes, but I think it's gonna need some taking care of and a little time to develop.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Dr. Alexei? How is the infrastructure like in Russia?
Unfortunately, it's not developed yet. It's only plans and discussions and special zones where to try, how to organize it. It's a very initial stage. At the moment, we are mainly use these UAVs for the, I would like to say, very special applications. For example, investigation of the minerals in the North Arctic area, or to protect the logistic of the transportation in the certain overcrowded areas like metropolitan areas, and for surveillance systems in the big plants like crude oil production, refineries, all this stuff. But what I heard today, right now, from the Singapore, I have been to Singapore. I've seen this huge port. It's very interesting subject, because in our company we are making, I would like to say, mini helicopters, unmanned helicopters, which probably we can use to deliver, say, 100 or 200 kilograms. And it's very interesting for me. We are going to look from another angle to what we have done and how we can use it. The same problem as in previous discussion is radio frequencies. This is a very sensitive subject, and now we are needing new standards, and each country is trying to organize their own standards. And when we communicate, I mean, ships are coming, everyone is bringing their own standards. One day we should come to the joint standard somehow, but it's quite a lot of work.
Yeah.
This is very interesting for me. These discussions about infrastructure, how can you use it for infrastructure, is very interesting, because it's a benchmarking. I'm looking how you organize it, then to bring it to our country.
Okay, in Malaysia, because we're more of I think we have actually Mr. Lee here. He's from Meraki. He does a lot of work in terms of surveillance as well as that. I don't know whether Mr. Lee, do you want to speak a little bit of your experience in Malaysia?
Hi all. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of what's happening in Russia and what's happening in Singapore. Okay, good to know. I think the UAV industry is moving fast, but due to this COVID, I think now we are in a slow phase currently. But I think it will pick up in next couple of months. But looking into what we are currently having in Malaysia, I think most of the industry are still looking into this. You see, for me, this is a good opportunity for all of us, because people now are understanding about digital. All right, so looking into digitalization, moving into a transformation, moving into technology, moving into IoT are those who are looking into redeveloping their organization structure. Even you see, recently our prime minister has also mentioned that let's digitalize all of us. So means he has embarked into something that he wants us to move forward with. He wants something in a different manner rather than conventional, moving into a digitalization approach. So I think these are the good opportunities for industries like us, especially drone industry. So I think this opportunity will make us better than before, because there were a lot of regulatory issues. There were lots of um, resistance from the industry per se. But I think with this coming from the top, I think this will be an opportunity for all of us. To give you an example, even during this COVID, we have got several queries and demos which we are putting in line for some industries like local authority. We are also doing POC for one of the national courier, which is going to happen perhaps after the MCO, perhaps in July, in Sabah and Sarawak. So we are going to do a delivery for the national courier, and this will be a POC. So these are, I mean, looking to all these are lining up. So I think the best approach for us is to do the awareness. So I think what Anis doing is, I think the best way of getting everyone, the industry, the university, the authorities, and as well as the other part of the world, to get together, to know, to share knowledge, as well as to see how effective we can be. So I think that's from us.
And yeah, I think also in Malaysia standpoint, we are much stronger in terms of the agriculture industry. Am I right, Mr. Lee?
Yes, yes, yes. We are okay. Part of that, we are currently doing for one of the largest palm oil. We are doing for nursery. We are doing for spraying, and they are also looking into. You see, previously they were looking on satellite image and everything. So now currently it has moved into drone, because of the accuracy level of mapping exercise is much more easier for them to adapt, and as well as to look into the health condition of the plantation.
We're pretty. I think the agriculture industry has been talking about it, because we've got smart agriculture events as well. Drone players from global companies come and take part, because they know
Yes.
there's a big potential. I think it's also the same in India. Agriculture is one of the bigger ones. Infrastructure and construction, there's a lot to be done. I think it actually can do a lot for the industry if they realize what it can do. So, would anyone would like to share the benefits of using drones for infrastructure and construction? I could touch on the touch points. So usually it's used for monitoring and reporting, right? A delivery of construction prefabricated units. It's used for the design work, to also monitor the processes, how much has been done so far, and inspecting hard to reach parts of infrastructure, such as the underneath of bridge parts, high towers, remote railways, hydropower dams, and all that. I think there's a lot of things that can be done, but it's not really, the message has not really crossed over to those who can use it. So what can the drone players do to encourage this?
Maybe I can share some of the activities in Singapore as well, and also talking to some oil and gas player. They are planned to make use of drone to actually do inspection of infrastructure, meaning even talking about offshore platform when you're manufacturing or when you're doing a routine inspection, because currently a lot of all this inspection need to be by people are climbing down from the platform to look at the structure below the deck. Yeah. So I think there are some activities now going on to talk about how to make use of using a drone to basically make it more efficient to inspect infrastructure of existing infrastructure, or when you're building it. Some of them now are also talking about using drone to inspect the building blocks in shipbuilding. Yeah. So when you build a big tanker, for example, a lot of the building blocks are 20 meter by 20 meter height. Yeah, it's a very big metal block, and they wanted to find a way to do a visual inspection of all the solder joints of all these building blocks before assembling it into the hull of the boat. Yeah. So all these, if you use drone and it can be automated as a baby loss, then you will actually improve the efficiency tremendously in the shipbuilding, in the platform building, ship inspection, platform inspection industry in a significant way. Yeah, we are talking about potentially worth millions, if not tens of millions of dollars every year in terms of improved efficiency if this process can be automated. Yeah. So that's a big area that we want to be more involved in. If any player, and of course, we are making use of our private network to make sure we can control the drone remotely, very accurately for this remote inspection type of job. Yeah. And secondly, Singapore included our HDB, we call it the Housing Development Board, and also the JTC, the Jurong Town Council. They are trying to make use of drone right now to do inspection of the progress of the building, like you mentioned, not just the prefab block. So when the engineers sign off a particular phase of the development project of the building, previously, then again, they have to be physically there, going up every floor. But some area like the rooftop or some of the external wall is difficult to be able to inspect unless if you have a drone. They can actually do a much better job for monitoring the progress of the building development. Yeah. So those work are also ongoing as well. And I think for industry use, those will be the main area that we are seeing that's happening in Singapore for infrastructure. And also we also are working on, or someone had asked, not in Singapore, but in a bridge, when you actually do a long bridge inspection and maintenance, same thing, you need to fly underneath the bridge on the infrastructure to give you a very close visual inspection capability. One of the bridge that we are talking about potentially, you know, the Brunei Tempurung Bridge, the new 32-kilometer bridge. So there are a lot of these opportunity that we are seeing, including some of the very long bridges in Indonesia. And of course, I don't know who inspect the two Penang bridges in terms of how to inspect it from below the deck using drone rather than using human being and using scaffolding to climb up to the certain level for those structural visual inspection.
Yes, even Langkawi actually has its sky deck, which is super high. So drones would be a very good use there. Okay, so we're going to go into our Q&A session. We actually already have a question from Arvin for Chitraj. So what sensors and actuators are you using in irrigation, and can we use it in other applications or modify the drones for logistics transport for beyond visual line of sight?
All right. So I think Arvind has asked this question, and okay, so this is very good question, and this is exactly something which we need to take care of and think of whenever we are developing a solution, Arvind. You see, we are using quite a lot of sensors, including even thermal cameras, for the better understanding and assessment of the crops and the field they are in. Along with that, we are doing our surveys on, the hydrology and the topographical surveys, so as to assess the field they are in. And we are also practicing the same approach which we have towards the crop and the field in the areas which are prone to what do you call sorry which are prone to flooding and earthquakes. So the same hydrological survey which we are doing in the crop field to assess which area is more susceptible for waterlogging, and which are which are the areas which can allow the water to pass. The same is being practiced in the areas which have an yearly occurrence of floods, and we are using the same concept to assess those areas and make a drainage and a canal system, so as to we can provide a solution in the areas or we can transfer the water in the areas which can actually manage it well. So yes, we are using all these surveys, which are whatever we are doing in the irrigation part over here. Sorry, the camera got that. So yeah, yeah. So these services, whichever we are using in the irrigation part, we are copying the same in the applications where it can provide fruitful, even though if not directly, in some other way. So I hope this answers your question, Arvind.
Arvin, is that okay, or do you want to ask a following up question?
Yes, I would add, we have a department in a company which is responsible for developing different type of sensors and application using drones, in very sensitive infrared sensors, other type of sensors. But our main experience is RF electromagnetic
Interferences.
pulse sensors for investigation of metallic ore, in geological investigations of the area of the quite wild places in Siberia or North Arctic and so on. So this is very interesting, and we have some experience in different type of sensors. We will be very happy to communicate with colleagues in Southeast Asian countries to share our experience and maybe meet somewhere in the conference and discuss how we can use it better in the better way. This is interesting because when I was listening, for example, about infrastructure, I'm very sorry, I forget to say that we are using our drones for the construction inspection. Yes, of course, and the bridges. It's obvious. It's very important. So interesting. Thank you very much. It's very interesting discussion.
You're most welcome. Thank you for joining us. Are there any other questions? We've got 3 minutes before we do a little networking session for everybody to get to know everybody.
I think I would like to add on something if I can have 2 minutes.
Yes.
Sure. So, I mean, apart from all the solutions which you're providing in irrigation, as you might all know, India has huge network, a big network of railway tracks, right? So we have around 75,500 so miles of railway tracks spread all over the nation, and around half of that is electrified.
Oh.
So, and the sheer number of trains that run over these tracks is unimaginable. So because of this heavy usage of the tracks, they are prone to breaking, or a very minute breaking. So we have something called track deviation, because it could be because of the heat in summer, or it could be I'm so sorry, it could be contraction in the winters. So using the sensors which we already have available, just taking one example of what currently we are doing, we're using the same thermal cameras to assess the situation which is already there and how much it has deviated from the ideal position. Without even putting in a lot of effort, we are still able to get an idea of how exactly efficient or how efficient the track currently is, or what could be a point at which it might yield later on. So yes, I think if we can even come up with solutions simple, as simple as this one, with any sort of sensors which we have, it does not have to be a very high end sensor or something like that, but if we are open to these opportunities, as an industry, as a complete drone industry that we are, I think the application of drones in the near future is going to be huge. It's gonna be huge. So I just wish you all the very best for this, and let's hope for the best for the drone industry.
Thank you, Chitransh. Okay, do we have any more questions before we close? Anybody? Doesn't look like it. Okay, this is your last chance.
Let's keep in touch.
Yes. All right. So okay. So you want to, you can now network exchange your phone numbers, your email addresses. We will hopefully have more discussions in the future. And if you want to share with us, your latest developments, your press releases, your insights, we are always welcoming of that. You can always reach out to us at our email address that we've already sent to you to invite you to this discussion. You can also find us on LinkedIn. We've got our page, Best Events Productions, and we have our website, which is called bestevents-asia.com. So all our latest events will be there. And if you want to share again your events with us and to help us promote you, please let us know. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day. We will now stop the recording, but do continue networking. All right?
Thank you very much, Hanis.
You're welcome.